Yeah, I just wanna make sure I got the language right, so I know what I'm doing.
Come on, stay here. Make sure I did. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Tonight is July 29th, 2024, and this is the City Commission. Could we have the roll call, please?
Smith.
Here.
Weinreis.
Here.
Bragg.
Here.
Harvey.
Here.
Mayor Robish.
Present. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I have a couple of additions to add to the agenda tonight. One is 6.7, set public hearing August 5th for Fire Pit Pizza Malt Beverage and South Dakota Farm Wine License. And 9.1 under ordinances and resolutions, second reading of ordinance number 2263-8-24 pertaining to animals. That's what I have for additions.
Motion to approve the agenda with the additions.
Second.
So moved and seconded, roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Weinreis.
Aye.
Bragg.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Mayor Robish.
Aye. Public forum. Public forum is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person. Please state your name and address for the public record. Do we have anyone from the public for a public forum tonight? If not, I know Commissioner Weinreis has something
I
he would
do.
like to say.
Yeah, thank you. So we just finished up our second week of the community-wide cleanup last week and just wanted to give an update. On Tuesday, the 23rd, we had 48 loads at the solid waste department, 23, and at the sold-out center where we had our mobile bins, we had 25 loads. There was 520 pounds of metal and 1,720 pounds of rubble dropped off at those bins. And then on Wednesday, we had 60 additional loads, 20 at the solid waste department, and 40 loads that came in to the sold-out center. 1,460 pounds of rubble and 4,000 pounds of rubble, 1,460 pounds of metal and over 4,000 pounds of rubble were dropped off at the sold-out center. So we collected 1,960 pounds of household garbage as well for both of those days. And just want to remind everybody starting tomorrow, we'll be in Southtown at the Southtown Water Tower from 12 to 4 p.m. tomorrow, and Wednesday from 4 to 8 p.m. Again, open to all public to bring out their items, and they can also go to the solid waste facility as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Weinreis, and I want to thank the public for coming out and taking advantage of that. And slowly, surely, we're going to get some stuff cleaned up there, and we're showing some progress, so that's good. Commissioner Bragg, did you have something you wanted or not?
I can wait on mine.
Oh,
Just
okay.
in the interest of moving things along.
Okay. Commissioner Harvey.
Just a quick 4th Street construction update. Tomorrow, July 30th, 3rd and 4th Street will be closed from the 3rd Street Bridge east. So you will have to access the solid waste facility, the yard waste site, and the community gardens, all from Custer Avenue. Jersey Avenue will not be affected, but 3rd Street east of the 3rd Street Bridge will be shut down starting tomorrow morning. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Harvey. Okay, the City Commission adjourns to convene as a Board of Adjustments for the following public hearing. I'm going to turn this over to City Planner Barry Cranston, and he will get us started.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, Commissioners.
This is to consider the variance request filed by the Karen Christian Revival Church in the zone B2 to operate a church and related services. The location is in the old inn building across the street to the south here. I think everybody knows where we're at there. This is a zoning application. The city, the hearing examiner, heard this 2 weeks ago. And typically we would do it right after, but they requested a deferral for 1 week, and so that's why we're back here now at this time. And so this was to request that the church be allowed essentially on the second floor, and then to also utilize the basement, is my understanding. So, the staff recommendations, myself was a recommendation to support it. It was due to the existence, we've already gone through this and set precedent for churches being allowed in the downtown area, and so I felt that this was really no different. The building inspector did recommend to deny the variance, and to follow the zoning ordinance as written. If it is approved, he asked that a full set of designed and stamped plans be required before a building permit be issued. Then at the hearing examiner level, the hearing examiner recommended denial of the request, as he didn't feel that was a suitable use for the commercial building. And so those were the three recommendations from staff and the hearing examiner.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cranston. At this time, I would invite anyone that was in favor of this request to come to the podium, give your name and address, and I see there's a few in the audience that are for it, and that's great, but you can all come forward. Try not to repeat too much as we can help, okay? But it's great to have you all here.
I'm Angie Utek, real estate broker and owner of Ace Realty, and have the inn, I guess we'll just call it inn, listed for sale, and we also have the buyer within our office as well. So I just wanted to take a couple minutes. I kind of went back through and spent a lot of time out on the website, which is really fun to look through all the minutes and try to find everything and so forth. But back on March 15th of 24, so Connor Lane, being one of the owners, came before the commission to get a conditional use permit because his plan was to have 16 hotel rooms on the second floor and some apartments on the third and fourth floor, as I'm sure all of you already know. At that point, he had indicated that he had well over $1 million invested at that time. At that time, the hearing examiner stated they were glad the building was being used. And so there's plenty of parking, as all of you probably know, and looking back in a lot of the conversations in regard to churches downtown, it had to do with, that there wasn't much parking and so forth. So hopefully that issue would not be the case with this building. There's 40 parking spots available at the inn site, and there's 70 church members, and of course they're not all driving individuals. But and so as I looked back, I know that there was a variance granted in August of 2017 for the James River Church, and that was in the old Y building. So some of you might recall that. At that time, the hearing examiner recommended approval with conditions that the building inspector and city planning inspect the facility before the new use began at that time. And there was talk about parking and a concern for that. And then in 2 variants have been granted for the Restoration Church, and also 1 conditional use variance, I believe, is my understanding. So in September of 2008, the Restoration Church had a variance to go into 208 Dakota Avenue South, which is, some of you might know that as a Bluebird building. They were granted that variance, and at that time, the inspector indicated having a church in this building will bring life back to the building and will generate some traffic in our downtown. And so then I go to, June of 2020, the Restoration Church leased they got a conditional use permit to lease space at the Huron Community Campus. And then, in August of 2023, the Restoration Church is believed, and they're still in this location at 304 Dakota South. The planner inspector had recommended denial, the hearing inspector recommended approval, and all the commissioners recommended approval for that. And then, in February of 23, the Iglesia Mission Church was granted a variance for their church, downtown as well. So I just wanted to, I mean, I'm not telling you anything probably you already don't know, but just wanted to bring that to light because there are certainly many churches in the downtown area, and the goal is to bring that building back to life, so to speak, and I think that the buyer is very, you'll hear from him in a minute, but very passionate about taking care of the building and putting some businesses in there. You know, in the first floor, he'll continue to be a landlord there with those businesses on the first floor, with possible expansion down the road. But I'll let him to speak to that, and then also we have one of the owners of the building, Mary Langbein, who would like to take a few minutes as well, and then some people from Gigi's Restaurant, which of course is one of the businesses.
Okay.
Any questions for me?
Anybody have anything for Angie right away?
I was wondering, the 2008 Bluebird, my understanding was that was not approved. The hearing examiner made it, but I thought, did the commission, that was before my time, but
That was, are you talking about the one on Second in Dakota,
Yeah.
right on the corner? Yeah, that was denied.
I looked it up in the, that might have been a newspaper article actually, because I think I did have some trouble finding it online.
That was a 4-1 vote, and that was denied.
3 to 2.
4-1 vote was the Iglesia Mission Church.
Was it?
That was a 4-1 vote, maybe you're thinking
Okay.
that. Well, I guess you guys would probably know better than I, but, and,
so I didn't mean to take away from all of what you have.
no,
That
I
particular
appreciate
one
that because.
Didn't match up with what, it was before my time, but I do remember that one did not go through.
Maybe the paper had it wrong.
I wasn't there at the time.
Anyway,
Thank you.
Hello,
Hi.
my
Hello.
name is Mushi. I would just like to let our commissioner know that I'm just here to say that we're looking for a building, and we saw this building for sale, and doesn't seem like nobody buy yet. So when we went up there, it has the second, third, and fourth floor are just vacant, so it's not being used.
Mhm.
So we talked to our church, and they agree like, what about if we happen to have it and then turn it into a worship place? The first floor, we just let it, you know, the way it is, have it rented, so it has a use for community or the business who would like to use it. And of course, we have to come to the city for variance, you know, you have code or rules and regulations that we need to follow. So I'm just here just to let you know that if we can use it as a church, or it's up to you guys. It's not that, you know, I'm doing this or that, or you know, cited, or whatever you think is best for, you know, our application, you know, I'll just follow that. Either you approve it or not, you know.
Yeah.
So just would like to have your conversation here tonight, so I don't know if you have questions.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Yeah.
What would be your plans for the third and fourth floor?
That's a good question. Now currently, we just have a plan to remodel the second floor, so we can use it as a worship place. Down the road, we do have a plan that the third floor, we're thinking about having is renovated as a community use center, like a wedding event or birthday party, whoever the community would like to use it for goods, that's okay, you know. We don't have a use, you know, so what about the community use it? That's just down the road, and down the road, later, the fourth floor, we might be able to put a, how do we say that, a stay place for traveler, like pastor, missionary, whoever they're willing to rent it for like 1 day or 2 days, you know.
Short-term rental stuff.
Yeah, it's not long-term, but just short-term, yeah.
Okay.
But that'll be down the road. Currently, we're just thinking about the second floor, yeah.
Mhm. It was stated in the basement, do you have plans for the basement?
The basement, you know, we might just use it for storage, like for table, chair,
Mm.
you know, office supplies, something like that,
Yep.
you know.
Okay,
Because when you have, even sometimes you might need table, chair,
Yeah.
round table, so something like that.
okay.
Mhm.
Anybody else have any questions for him? Go ahead.
I do, and this might come up more when we hear from the current tenants, but, you know, when you referenced your use for the building, you said we would just leave the first floor as is.
Right.
For commercial tenants, which I think is a great way to look at it, but have you talked within your organization? I mean, just leaving it as is, there still needs to be management of it. Do you feel like your church within your leadership, or how would it be something where an individual would be in charge, just in terms of protecting those tenants and, you know, hopefully getting more tenants, because I know some folks have left? How do you think the trick chairs, how do you think the management of those apartments?
That's a good
would go?
question. Yeah, I do have our staff member, I do have one that will be able to manage that, you know, because they're probably like just 8 units down there, you know, so,
Mhm.
it would not be a big deal. And, when it come to, what is the other question?
Just managing the current tenants and
Oh,
getting
and
future
protecting them,
tenants.
I see,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, yeah. And, I believe that I heard that the current owner will leave the security camera system too, so there's one of the way that we can monitor it too, you know. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
So you would have a staff member at the church that would manage the rentals?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I do not know how many people are renting it over there right now, you know, but I think Gigi is still there. I don't know who are other people that are renting them, but I mean, to my understanding, I do hear that some people are willing to rent, you know, the office down there, so.
yeah,
But we don't have, you know, approval yet. I say I cannot see anything yet, you know. How
Okay.
can you go and advertise that you have office space for rent when you're not the owner yet?
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You guys got anything else? Not yet?
I'm Mary Langbean. I'm the current owner of the inn, and I'm just here to tell you that I have put a lot of money into the inn, and I'm kind of tapped out, and I think it's probably in the city's best interest to have a new owner who can finish up all the work that I started. I mean, I've gotten all the demo work done there. It's very expensive, but I know there's work to be done, you know, if they do, like, the second floor, you know, was redone once for social services, so it's not gonna be a horrible job on the second floor, but we did demo work on, you know, third and fourth and the whole basement, so.
Sure.
There's a lot of work done there, but I think it's in the city's best interest to have someone who can finish up that work and make it a viable place for more business. I mean, that's what you want in Huron.
That's
I'm a
right.
former business owner here, and my deceased husband also had Midland Contracting, and I had Touch of Country. So, yeah, I'm familiar with the business here in town, and I think that's the way to go, is keep it going, because I can't do anymore. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Bye.
Anyone, okay,
I'm Jen Reese, I'm the owner of Gigi's. We would have been at the variance meeting, however, it's at noon, not a real good time for us to attend, so, I mean, maybe they wouldn't have cared if I was not there, but, we're here to ask for this variance. This is so important, it's a livelihood for 2 of my daughters. My entire savings is invested in Gigi's, and after 2 years of being there, we feel like we would leave a massive hole in the community if we close. So anything happens to this building and we're not able to stay there, I don't know that we'll open anywhere else. We've looked for what we have for space, what we have for traffic. Huron has just embraced us, and we're so thankful for that. So I'm gonna ask the same as that you guys embrace us and embrace a new owner. Mary and Cotter have done wonderful for us, but they're done, right? She said it, they're done. And we have somebody that wants to come. We have thriving downtowns in so many cities in South Dakota. And to me, it's important that ours is thriving. So I'm a local, moved away, been back here 17 years, raised my children here, raising my grandchildren here. It's important for me to be there. I have an exit strategy from Premier, don't tell. Just to be there full-time with my family and to really make it a great place. So we're asking on behalf of my family that you guys approve this variance. It's super important to us.
Good. Thank you, Jen.
Yep.
Thank you.
Can I say one more thing? I forgot to mention that Justin Pisek is preparing a bid for Moshi. So obviously everyone knows Justin Pisek. He's a very reputable contractor. He's been in the building a lot. He's very familiar, probably more familiar with the building than anybody in town. And certainly he understands that you have to provide an architect drawing because that's the case with every building. So just, you know, that wouldn't be any different. And so he would be helping with that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone here? Okay.
Alan Greenfield, do we have an ordinance about grass, the height of grass?
Yes.
We do.
What is it?
What is that?
Just a minute. We're discussing this variance right down here for this building right now?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
I thought it was open for,
Not yet.
okay.
We had that
Tell
already.
them 8 inches.
Oh,
We had that already, but we,
I'm Norland Hofer, Gigi's daughter, dad.
somebody.
I don't blame him that
I
way.
enjoy being in there, and I would really appreciate that you grant this church a variance. I think we need another good gospel church in town. We have several of them. Please do it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nora. Is there anyone else to speak in favor of this variance? Okay, at this time, I would invite anyone that has to speak in against this variance. If not, I'm gonna close the discussion and open the discussion to the commission.
Maybe you wanna know, we did have one opposite.
Yeah, I was just gonna do that. We, just for the record, we did have one business owner downtown that did submit a letter. She was concerned about the use of the building and the loss of commercial property going on downtown, and so she asked that the variance be denied based on that, and it was for all good reasons. I mean, she wants to see more commercial operations downtown, and so that's all she was really making the point
Yep.
about.
That's true. I think we all got a letter. We got a copy of that letter, right? Okay, thank you for the reminder. Anybody have anything they would like to say? Anything else? Commissioner Harvey, Commissioner Smith? This side of the table's been pretty quiet there.
Do we?
Well, do you wanna
Do you
talk
want a
about that
motion?
without a motion, or
Well,
I think proper
Yeah, you're right.
procedure would be to have a motion on the
Correct.
table.
correct.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance to go into discussion.
Okay,
Second.
and a second. Thank you for that reminder, Commissioner Smith. Now, anybody have anything they would like to say?
So I think, for me, if we do allow this variance, I would like the variance to be contingent that the main floor of the building will remain commercial, for those downtown businesses. To make sure I mean, there's a lot of storefront there, there's a lot of space there, and I would like to make sure that that does stay commercial use.
To follow that up, I had some similar concerns wanting to maintain that, and so Barry did some work with the county. Could you share that
Yeah.
information, please, Barry?
Yes, one of the concerns that was brought up was that the loss of the property taxes, because obviously a church is a charitable organization and a community nonprofit, if you will. So we did do a little legwork on that for clarification with the state of South Dakota and the Department of Revenue. And they did explain to us that only that portion of the building that is occupied and used on a consistent basis only that part would be considered tax exempt. The state and the county would have a formula that they would go in and look at the other floors and that those floors would remain taxable. So, that was, a clarification that we had gotten. I think in the hearing examiner meeting, that was one of the things that I think concerned the hearing examiner was the loss of that future property as a taxable property, because you never know when a church assumes or acquires a property, they can transfer it to wherever if something dire were to happen to that congregation and it no longer is viable, then many times they go to another tax exempt property. And so that was one of the clarifications that we wanted to make sure we understood fully.
There was new information since the hearing examiner.
Yes, since the
made it.
hearing examiner, that's correct, Rich.
So following up on Commissioner Harvey's point, so can we make a specific addendum to our approval that the first floor needs to remain commercial? Second of all, to follow up what you just said, can we also put any sort of a stipulation that this condition is only approved with the current ownership and does not transfer? I know like some of the other liquor licenses and some of those things don't automatically transfer, they still have to come back before this.
Yes, I believe you can. I mean, it's a condition of the use that it be allowed for a certain location, for a certain user, and for a certain plan. And so I believe that you could make those specific conditions upon, this acquisition, if you would like. And Tucker, if you wanna chime in there.
Yes, I would agree that you can put generally any reasonable conditions on your approval.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do we know what the taxation is on that building as it sits?
It's approximately a little over $12,000 per year.
$12,000 per year.
Right.
And so approximately 40% of that, based on the applicant's plan, would be exempt.
I'm not sure it would even be that much. It would depend on how they would look at the use of the basement. If all they're going to do is occupy it for the purposes of storage, I believe that would remain taxable. The second floor where the sanctuary would be, that I believe would be. So if you looked at it from a perspective of 5 different levels, it would only be about 20%. But it would be up to the state of South Dakota and the Beetle County Assessor's Office on how that actually implemented.
My concerns are just that, over the past number of years, there's been a growing transfer of private ownership, for-profit ownership properties to not-for-profit or tax-exempt properties. And whether it be municipal or whether it be religious, whether it be the school, there's been a number of buildings that have been converted, and I do have concerns of how that is affecting our tax base on the commercial property side of things, if that trend continues. The past 3 properties within the last year that we've given variance approval to, 2 of the 3 are leased properties. The variance was allowed for them to lease it, maintaining the property taxation on the facility. One of those properties was the Restoration Church, the other property, which was Restoration Church, was the former Ben Franklin facility, which is owned by the Restoration Church. Going back to the Legends application, the Bluebird application that Rich spoke of earlier, I was on that hearing and I voted in favor of it at the time. It was struck down, And as things have progressed, that church, the church did come back about 5 years later at a different location that was approved. But the first one to be approved was a property on 3rd Street, 63 3rd Street, and that is under a lease as a variance for the use of, for it to be used as a church. So in that, the taxation stays in whole, or it doesn't get removed. So we've approved 3 variances within the last year for churches in our downtown core district. As one of the respondents opposed to it mentioned that as these commercial properties in our core district get converted to not taxed entities, I believe is how it was stated, not only from a property tax, but sales tax as well. So converting properties to a religious tax exempt status continues to erode against our sales tax base as well in the downtown district. So I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I guess I'm in the position that I think we've allowed, in a very short time period, allowed enough church occupation in the facilities downtown, and I'm going to deny it. My vote will be to deny it, and I feel that I should convey why to you, so.
Thank you. Anybody else?
So, there's a question here. So, you know, if his thoughts was just of remodeling the second floor, would it be required that the other two be done at the same time, or would
No.
you provide plans and they can
Yeah.
leave the other two at
They
the
could
top?
leave the other two as is, you know, with the thought that they would develop them at some time in the future. We wouldn't require them to remodel the entire building.
And with the remodeling of the building, the sprinkler system needs to go in, is that correct?
That, my understanding with the sprinkler is that a fire suppression system where a public gathering place is located would be required. So then it becomes a question of, can you sprinkler just a floor or 2 floors, for example? And I've been told by our building inspector that if a design professional can show you a design and is willing to sign his name on those stamped plans, that he would be fine with that. But until such time as somebody in that arena can look at that and authorize that and say this is to code, then that becomes the issue.
But just to spell that out more clearly, he said if someone was willing to sign off and take the liability, however,
Right.
that's unlikely.
That is true. He did say, he didn't think, it was his opinion that it was unlikely. Now, there are many design professionals, architects, and people in the fire suppression business that they do it for a living, and so I don't know if he could find one or not, but that's my understanding.
But I mean, again, just to state, and I'm not, Chris isn't here, so I'm not trying
Right.
to put words in his mouth,
Right.
but just to make sure we're conveying his meaning, you know,
Mhm.
really the message he was trying to say is, he highly suspects that if they remodel the second floor, they will have to sprinkle that, but likely, looking at the code book, they also would have to sprinkle the first floor.
Yes.
That's,
That's-
we're not,
That was his
we're not experts, we
interpretation.
can't know that, but that, just to make sure
Yeah,
that we're
that was
conveying.
his interpretation.
Right. I did talk to him about that, and
Yeah.
it's, yes. Anybody got anything else?
Do we need approval of the allowance of a church on the entire building aside from the first floor? Or can we do just the second floor?
No, you can do just the second floor.
And I know that that would mean that whatever you did in the future, you'd have to come back for. But
Potentially, I mean.
it would potentially allow
Yeah.
for business or whatever
Right.
on the third, fourth floors as well as the first,
Mhm.
without tying the whole building up for one purpose.
Right.
I mean,
That's
there's a
correct.
lot of square footage there.
Right, that's correct.
Well, and that could always be moved too.
It could,
If-
yes.
If you had more business on the second floor and they moved up to the fourth floor or whatever,
Right,
let's just say.
yeah.
That can be,
We could adjust that.
that can be adjusted, yeah.
My initial response matches very much what Commissioner Smith felt. When, I thought we've got this downtown building, it's viable, it seems like there have been private ventures that have looked at it. I think given enough time, some venture capitalist or investor will take a chance on that one. And to have the complete property come off of the tax rolls and have a nonprofit, have tenants, that whole thing didn't make sense to me. Now, after the work that Barry did, I would say I'm more comfortable with what, and I'm not trying to say this is what you're advocating, but I think what you're saying is if we approve this specifically to the church use on the second floor, and I would add specifically to this tenant, so it can't carry forward, if they come in and just operate the church on the second floor and only that piece comes off the tax roll, then, let's be honest, the lifeblood of that building for sales tax and property tax is the first floor. We need to, the current tenants that are there are viable, and we, if there was, a manager, and if he's got a staff member that's gonna do it, as he said, I believe that more people will go into that building, and that's where I have changed from my initial response, is very much in line with Commissioner Smith. But I think based on some of the new evidence that our team has brought to light, I think I would support that idea that if we just are cutting out that second floor and the rest of the building maintains for taxable purposes, because then in that standpoint, I think it makes it very much similar to the Restoration Church. And, the reason I was in support of Restoration Church taking over the Ben Franklin was, we had conversations about the city purchasing that lot and bulldozing that building to turn it into a parking lot, because we felt like as is, there was nobody that was gonna come in and make the investment. And I would argue that I feel the same way here. The second floor, I don't know that that's gonna be a viable, having to do sprinklers and everything. I'm not sure that it will pencil out for a private investor. So if we have a church that's willing to make that investment and save the whole building, keep the whole building on the tax rolls, and keep the first floor viable for both sales tax and property tax, then, if you're willing to amend your motion a little bit, I would support that motion, that we both make it conditional only to the second floor, and that it's conditional specifically to Moshe and his church, and that it would not transfer beyond them.
And the reason I think that works twofold is because then we have the remainder of the building for commercial use, whatever we need to use it for. But then weekend traffic will also be better for those main floor businesses. It could also bring people downtown to that second floor while still allowing the remainder of that building to be used for a commercial setting. So I would amend my motion to allow this variance on the second floor for this person.
I would follow with my second as well.
Okay. We're gonna go here in a quick second here, guys. I'm just because I told them not to repeat, I'm not going to, but I was where Brian was, and I am where Rich is now, and it's a very good explanation by both of them. Very valid by both of them. And so, I've spoke with Mary, and I've talked to Mushi, and I go to Gigi's way too much, it looks like it, okay? You got good caramel rolls, okay? But anyway, I agree with, great conversation, good points from everybody here, and good points from everybody there. So, we're gonna call the vote. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor,
Yes.
before we proceed with the vote, Can we be reminded of what the vote has to be?
Of course,
Four
Oh,
more.
of course.
Can't be four.
Yes, so that you need to have 4 affirmative votes
Thank you.
in order for the variance to pass.
Good clarification.
Yeah, we made that mistake.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have, yes, we have. Okay, roll call vote.
Smith,
Nay.
Weinreich,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Harvey,
Aye.
Mayor Robish.
Aye. Thank you very much for everybody coming in, and thank you, Commission, for the discussion. It's a great discussion. All right, the Board of Adjustments adjourns to reconvene as a city commission. And we're gonna start with the consent agenda. Matters appearing on the consent agenda are expected to be non-controversial and will be acted upon by the commission at one time without discussion unless a member of the commission requests an opportunity to address any given item. Items removed from the consent agenda will be discussed at the beginning of the formal items. Our consent agenda consists of 6.1 minutes of July 22nd, 2024, 6.2 fuel quotes for city departments, 6.3 raffle for the American Legion Post 7, 6.4 raffle for the Huron Fire Department, 6.5 personnel items. Number 1, recommend hiring Kimberly White for the part-time year-round library clerk position. And number 2, recommend hiring Levi Preston for the seasonal part-time Central Park maintenance. 6.6, payment of the bills. That is our consent agenda. Oh, 6.7 is set public hearing for Fire Pit Pizza Malt Beverage and South Dakota Farm Wine License for August 5th. Thank you.
Motion
Mayor,
to,
just for clarification.
Yes.
Consent agenda is under 4 or 6.
So with some numbering changes, on the online one, it's, the numbers are, the new agendas are up there. I'm sorry.
We're good, thank you. You're good.
Good catch.
make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Weinreich,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Harvey,
Aye.
Mayor Robish.
Aye. Moving on to bid quote items. 7.1, consider payment request number 1 from Menning Excavating Incorporated for water main replacement in the amount of $653,085. Assistant Engineer Dennis Bennett, please.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. This is a materials payment for Netting is requesting, and this is for materials on site, and we recommend approval.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Any questions? Roll call vote, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Weinreich,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Harvey,
Aye.
Mayor Robish.
Aye. Moving on to number 8, petitions and communications. Tonight we have an update from our Huron Humane Society from Kim Kruger. Thank you.
Good evening.
Hello.
Evening.
Alrighty, so, I've got the figures here for 2023. So, for January through December for 2023, animal control was dispatched 1,092 times. If we break down the calls, as usual, the main call-out reason is for animals running at large, which we had 416 of those. We had 93 neglect calls, 36 DOA calls, 25 bites, 249 trapping, and 68 nuisance and wildlife. And then the remainder of those 1,092 calls are vet calls, picking up paperwork at City Hall, for example, or licenses, those types of things. So far to date, we have served 367 animals compared to 353 in 2022. Or in 2023, 367 in 2024 to date compared to 353 last year, January through December. In 2023, as that intake number, we took in 397 cats, 272 dogs, 17 small animals, and 69 other, and that will be our bats, our chickens, our the goats, those types of things. So far for 2024, again, 367. The current population at the shelter, is more than it has been in a long time. We have 21 dogs in the shelter right now, and puppies, so we are at capacity. We have 47 cats in the building, and we have another 17 in foster care. We have 2 rabbits and a parakeet, so we have 88 total animals, under the care of the staff at the shelter right now. In 2023 for dispositions, we adopted out 209 cats last year, 103 dogs, 5 guinea pigs, 1 parakeet, 1 goat, and 4 rabbits. We returned to owner 35 cats, 153 dogs, and we wildlife and or farmed, released, or relinquished or transferred to another rescue 94 cats, 9 bats, 3 skunks, 13 possums, 1 chicken, 8 squirrel, 2 deer, 18 cottontail, 1 raccoon, 1 robin, 3 pigeon, 1 garter snake.
Do you have copies of that? I wanna know who keeps track of that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Don't fight your
Still got more to go. Wait,
It's all right here.
Okay.
we ain't done yet.
Come on, okay. 1 finch, 1 crow, 1 coot, and 3
There
geese.
you go.
I give myself an atta girl.
There you
Partridge in the
go.
pear tree.
Yep. So, for DOAs, we had 3 dogs and 26 cats in 2023. And the number nobody likes to hear, nobody likes to talk about, but due to transparency, I'm going to talk about it. We euthanized 4 dogs and 28 cats. I'm also gonna give you the reasons we did that. 2 of the dogs were age and had severe health issues. It was the humane thing to do. 2 were extremely aggressive and due to our ordinances and also our insurance, and we're not gonna put those animals into a home and risk, anybody getting hurt. So those are the reasons for the dogs. The cats, we had also 2 biters. We had 6 hit by car with extreme injuries, 1 diagnosed with kidney failure, 8 were ill and vet recommended, no response to treatment, 1 severe seizure disorder, 3 senior with major health issues, 1 poisoned, and 6 feral ill. So that's the breakdown of the euthanasia reasons. And again, I'll bring up as I did last year, the no-kill status thing, and there's controversy on both sides of that. What does no-kill mean? You know, when I first started, there's no such thing as no-kill. That's how I felt. That's kind of how I still feel, because we had to euthanize. But what the definition of a no-kill shelter is you euthanize less than 10% of your total intake. So we took in a total of 755 animals and euthanized a total of the 32. So we're well below the 10% for that. So we were awarded a plaque by the Best Friends Animal Society the last 2 years for qualifying as that no kill. We do our best not to euthanize anything if we don't have to. In 2023, we sold 789 licenses. I think we are on track to do that again this year, but we still know that number is probably 4 or 5 times that should be licensed. And that's not just for a revenue source. That's, you know, if your animal's out running loose, today we had 2 strays come in. We had no idea who they belonged to. If they had that simple tag on, you know, we could have got them home. It could have saved, the person who found that animal could have saved them the $90 they ended up having to pay because it didn't have that little tag on it.
It works, I know.
A few things that have been going on in this last year. We did something that has been needing to be done in a long time, and we're so grateful to our community here. We were able to put new flooring down in the whole Humane Society as far as the front office goes, not the dog room. It's concrete as it should be, but it looks absolutely wonderful. It just feels good to walk into work. And the other thing that we did, which was huge, the cats are now not kenneled. Unless they're transitioned or for some reason they don't want to be out with the rest of the cats, because some of them really don't. it's free run. There's cat towers. You know, now we just tell people, remember when you walk in there could be a cat up here and it may end up down here, you know, so, it's just so much fun. And the people that come in to meet the cats, the cat picks them because they'll either approach them or they'll hang back, you know, it's just, you know, it used to be people would walk in the shelter and be like, oh, you know, to see all them cats and kennels, and now it's like, oh, you know, so it's just a big change. We're loving it. As far as the dog park, which is something that is open for the community, thanks again to volunteers and people that donated. We now have a water source out there. We're hoping to eventually get a shade source out there as well. That gets used all the time, and we love it. We love that too, so please continue to use the dog park. And let us know if there's something, we want the community to let us know if there's something that you'd like to see at the dog park or something. Let us know. Shoot me an email, message me on Facebook, because we want to make it someplace for animals to come, be able to run off some of that energy and maybe not be out running across Dakota. So we want people to use that. Big reminder too for the community coming up fair. We're all revving up for that. We want to remind citizens that you cannot bring your animals into the fairgrounds unless you're camping in the fairgrounds. So don't come and leave them in your car, because we don't want to have to cost you a window and get that dog out. So leave the pets at home. And even if you're traveling in town, like today in this extreme heat, if it's 70 degrees outside, it's too warm. Leave your pets at home. Even if the window cracked, that temperature can escalate very quickly and be very dangerous. So we're just asking people to keep that in mind. We know we like to take our pets with us, but sometimes it's better for them to stay at home. Our next fundraiser is coming up August 17th, Four Paws Pool Party. One of my favorites. They kick all the people out of the pool and let the four-legged critters in, and it's a hoot to watch. So even if you don't have a pet or your pet don't like the water, come watch, because it's pretty fun. And then the next one is coming up September 28th. That's our Spay, Neuter, Don't Litter fundraiser. It's a fun walk vendor fair. So if there's any vendors out there that would like to participate in that, get a hold of us. We will be sending out corporate sponsor letters. That again helps offset the cost of spaying and neutering shelter animals. We also get United Way funding for that, but as everybody knows, vet fees have increased, food fees have increased, everything's went up, so we would appreciate your support on that. That will again take place September 28th from 9 to noon at Memorial Park this year. We changed that from Butters and Scoops. Lastly, with 21 dogs, if there's anybody, you can be 12 years old and come volunteer by yourself after you have a packet filled out, and we do a little training. But we want to, if you're bored, it's a little bit of a cloudy day, you're not going to Splash Central, stop on out to the shelter, grab a leash and a dog and take it out to the dog park, or walk a dog. If you're doing an exercise program, you gotta get in so many steps. Maybe I'll join you. But come out and walk a dog or play with the cats. So if you're interested in volunteering, definitely get a hold of me.
Good, thank you.
You bet. Any questions from the
I
commission?
got one
Yeah.
quick. Where did the 21 dogs come from?
Well, there was a litter, there was a big call, you know, that, it's been a while ago now, that boy got hurt on the reservation. And so the reservation, they were gonna go in and eliminate anything that was, so we stepped up and helped out with that. So that's part of it. That's 7 of the puppies, and, well, one of the adults has actually been adopted, so two of the adults and 7 puppies are from that.
Everything else is local?
Surrenders and litters and, yeah. Yes.
I have a couple of things.
Yeah.
So this is more of a personal thing for me. If I'm walking my dog and there's a dog that is sitting on the step of the homeowner and the dog charges me with aggression, and by that time the homeowner has got the dog retrieved, so it didn't do any damage.
We're still gonna leave them a notice to comply.
Okay.
We still wanna know about that. We want to know about them behaviors, because a lot of times it's just education, you know, and they shouldn't, you can have your dog on if you're out working in your yard, you can have your dog or your cat on your property loose. But if your dog or cat is not gonna respond to your voice command, and most people can't be a guarantor of an animal, you know, but if you can't guarantee that they're gonna respond to that voice command, you could end up getting a notice to comply. And we absolutely, especially when it comes to running out aggressively, that we want to know about, because again, a lot of times it's just educating the pet owner.
Yeah, and I don't wanna go too deep into it, same owner, and it's happened a couple of different times, and
Yeah,
hasn't, I'm sure it's because of.
keep calling it in. We develop a paper trail, as Tyler knows, and then once I have enough that I think I can get him on board, then I'll send it off, and that's what's gonna happen, you know? Because we wanna keep our community safe, so, and it's not the animal's fault. The end result is, if you really care for your animal, and that's what we're gonna tell these people, if you care for that dog, you've got to take the steps to make sure something tragic isn't gonna happen, because the dog's gonna be the one that's gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the second thing I was gonna ask you, Kim, it's on the agenda tonight for the second reading of the,
Pertaining to animals, the cats.
yeah, the release portion of that. I know, I don't wanna bring up a year ago or a year and a half ago, but, I know there was some political difference there, because you had to follow what the ordinance was. Is this going to, straighten that matter out if we approve the second?
I'm gonna
reading?
continue to do what I've been doing, and I'm gonna enforce the ordinance as written, you know, and what's been changed is the way I understand it, is just the definition of what an owner is. So if I get a cat in, you know, one that has been fixed by Alley Cat, I can't just let it loose, because the property owner doesn't want it on the property. So I'm going to have to impound it. So I'm not, you know, I'm just gonna keep doing things the way I've been doing them. And then if there's issues, you know, we'll work through those.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it's always been for me. All I wanted was a playbook, you know, so that I'm doing my job the way I'm supposed to be doing it.
Well, assuming this is approved, I think that'll help clarify some things for you.
Absolutely, yep, I agree. And anytime an animal's fixed, it's a win. It's a win-win-win. So, you know, are there gonna be kinks? Probably, but,
Yeah.
I mean, we just all have to come together and work them out, so.
Well, and this change had to come from the state,
Yep.
which took a huge effort from
Yes.
Senator Wheeler and the Alley Cat group to bring it to that attention.
Yep.
And I'm pretty proud to say that we're the first in the state that's looking at doing this, and I guess I don't wanna be a spoiler, but my position is to approve it, assuming there's no.
Yeah,
negative
I don't
feedback.
disagree. I absolutely do not disagree. You know, I think it's up to the citizens, and again, we're just gonna enforce it, and, you know, if they
Well,
don't
and
want the
this-
cats there, then we.
In this area, I look at
Take
it as
them.
we're complying with state laws, we're complying with city ordinances, and we're being a leader in that field.
Absolutely. Yep, I agree.
Thank you, Ken.
You betcha.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a great night.
Report. And going on to 9.1 ordinances and resolutions. And I'm gonna turn this over to City Attorney Tucker Blaskey.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. This is ordinance number 2263-8-24. This is to amend subsection 10 of section 8.04.1 or 010 pertaining to animals. And as indicated, this just adds language to the definition of owner to clarify conduct that will not be prosecuted under the ordinance, and it's an accurate reflection of the new state law.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded. Before we take the vote, I know we have a lady in the audience, I didn't tell you before, but this is what you've been fighting for, right? Okay, so like Commissioner Smith said, it's good that you guys brought it to the forefront, and the work that we've had, the work that's been done towards this, okay, we very much appreciate it, and so this is following the new state statutes, so
Do you have
I'll get
anything
with you in a
further
minute,
wanna
Alan.
say?
I'll get you within a minute.
I do appreciate this. I know it's been a challenge for everyone, but, I felt pretty passionate about it, and I am proud that we got the state statute changed. I was told that it could be an impossible mission, but I'm not a quitter.
There you go.
And I feel that it's needed all over the states, and I hope that awareness will help other groups start up, and that other people will see that we're changing our ordinance. I know they're still fighting for it in Sioux Falls. I did just visit with Peggy Gibson, and she said, well, let me know if you need my help with that. I'll reach out to Marty Jackley, so.
Very good.
I'm hoping maybe, I tried to contact Keller-Land. I'm hoping if we can accomplish it here, maybe Keller-Land will put us on the news, and maybe other cities will go ahead and make the changes, so that other groups don't have to keep fighting.
Well, you're not a quitter, so there you go.
I'm not. I wanted to quit some, but I had a lot of people supporting me. And
All
we've
right.
done about 220 some cats to date.
Oh.
That's a lot of less kittens being born, so.
There you go. All right, thank you very much. Roll
Thank
call
you,
vote,
guys.
please.
Smith,
Aye.
Linus,
Aye.
Bragg,
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Mayor Roberts.
Aye. Thank you very much, guys.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Could we entertain just a allowance for Mr. Greenfield to quickly say
was-
his piece before we move on?
we sure can, but I got one more to do,
Oh,
and then I
sorry.
was gonna go there.
I apologize.
That's all right, that's all right. Moving on to departmental items, 10.1, consider recommendation from the Capital Asset Committee for the Police Department. And I'm gonna have Police Chief Derek Lair come up and explain this. I think everybody knows, but just so you,
All right, thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Yeah, the police department contacted the Capital Asset Committee to request funding to purchase a second vehicle during the 2024 budget year. This vehicle, while we were having our vehicle actually built that was budgeted to buy in 2024, we were informed by Carl Chevrolet out of Des Moines that they actually had extra vehicles that were left over from agencies who ordered them and then backed out of that. If you remember the last couple of years, trying to find patrol cars has been very difficult at times. So they were willing to honor the bid price for the 2024 year at just under 51,000. So built, it would be about 73, which is what we spent on the vehicle that's budgeted to be built in 2024 already. What we would do is, if this is approved, we would then buy a second vehicle in 2024, have that vehicle outfitted and be put to use, and then we would not request one in 2025. And part of that is to guarantee that we get a vehicle, we don't run into the same situation we have in years past. And on top of that, with every model year change, we seem to get an increase in state bid. And they don't have an exact number, but their estimate from going from 2024 to 2025 is roughly 6,000 is their best guess at this point. So it'd be $6,000 less than buying one next year.
that's good. The only question I had on that was the durability of the Tahoe, and I've talked to Captain
Yeah.
Bechtold about that.
As of right now, we haven't had any major issues. I wish I could say we have a lot more miles on them or a lot more, knowledge of the vehicle than what we do, but we only have the one in use, second one being built now, and this would be a third, but as of right now, we've had no major issues, just normal wear items at this point, so.
Good, good.
Make a
Let's-
motion to approve 8.1,
Second?
10.1.
Yep. Commissioner Bragg, did you have?
Well, just a quick, so before these Tahoes came up, we were trying to get more of the Explorers, those
Yes.
haven't been available. Now we're talking, we wouldn't do anything next year, so it's kinda hard to say, but if you had to predict right now, let's say in 26, the Fords and the Tahoes are both available, do you expect you'll still try to go with the Tahoes, or do you think you'd shift back to the Fords?
I would like to see another Ford. The thing is, we have two different size vehicles. We have larger officers who really like the Tahoes, and we have smaller stature officers who really like the Fords. So I mean, to kinda accommodate both from an officer safety standpoint, I don't want a small officer sliding out of a Tahoe in the wintertime, and I also don't want a large officer trying to squeeze into a car that's uncomfortable that don't fit in, so.
Makes sense.
In all honesty, a kind of 50-50 split would be ideal,
Mm.
so.
Thanks.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Weinreich,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Hardy,
Aye.
Mayor Robish.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Chief. Mr. Greenfield, come on up. And the public forum, we had public forum earlier in the night, and I know you weren't here,
I
so.
apologize for-
No, you're fine.
My wife made supper and she made me eat it.
Oh, you gotta do that, you gotta do that. But that,
Okay,
the public forum was open earlier and we closed it, so, and I know you came up, I didn't know what you had in mind, but we do now, so our ordinance says 8 inches.
8 inches.
The grass.
So,
And there's a lot that's more than 8 inches, we know that. We have 2 guys,
well, that's not so important to me, just to establish that. How about cornfields in your front yard?
I had a discussion with our code enforcement this morning about that very same thing, and am I all right here? We're,
I'm not sure what we're getting into.
we're kinda speaking public forum here, but, okay.
I think we're okay.
Okay, so, I had that discussion with Mike Harrison this morning, and, cause I've noticed, I know where there's 2 of them myself. And I know the 2 that I saw and were in question, they're behind the boulevard on private property. So, the only thing we can do there is we have, in our ordinance, we have on the corner lot, now I'm saying, we can go 30, you have to find the middle of that middle of that boulevard, middle of the curb, let's say, okay, on a turn, on a corner, find the middle of that and go 30 feet this way and go 30 feet this way and draw a line. And if that cornfield is behind that line, that cornfield stands. If that cornfield is in that triangle, we get the mower out. Correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's called a clearance zone
Yes.
for safety purposes.
Yeah.
So you have vision.
Yeah,
Yep.
the city's trimming my tree, I know
Yeah.
the deal.
Yeah,
So, yes.
so that, I
So I'm
know,
out of luck on that one.
well, not necessarily out of luck, but
Ask
Well,
them
the
for
good
some corn,
news is, yeah,
you know?
good news, it won't be there all winter.
Yeah, so the other issue I wanted to bring up is sidewalks.
sidewalks,